larger display and higher resolution, it just seems more ideal. And when you combine the functionality of the S Pen with the Air View functionality, it just gives us a very close desktop-like experience. Obviously, playing high-definition videos isn't a problem with either device. You can tell the playback is smooth, but for the experience, we're going to go with the Note 3 just because that larger display and just that AMOLED panel really has those rich colors which really catches our attention. On top of that, there's also a host of other functionality that we appreciate on the Note 3. For example, you have the Air View functionality, so you could preview the video ahead of time. And on top of that, you have pop-up play, which again goes on the same premise with multitasking. It just offers a more enhanced experience with that. And this one's really quick. If you prefer a lot of shooting modes and also access to some manual controls, you'll really appreciate what the Note 3 has to offer with its camera UI. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the iPhone 5S lacks any deep offerings. It's just very basic with what it offers, but anything about it's more simplistic, so it gets you down to just taking photos so you're not hassled with anything else. So how do the cameras of both handsets stack up against one another? Well, honestly, they're pretty much very similar. It's hardly noticeable which is the superior between the two when it comes to outdoor shots. They take some just outstanding looking photos, very sharp with their details, nice natural colors, and exposure seems balanced enough. But when we look very closely, it just seems like the Note 3 is able to capture the sharper, a little bit more details than the iPhone 5S. But the iPhone 5S really shows its worth in lower lighting conditions just because its shots seems to be less prone to any blurring or hazing effects. That's probably a tribute to its faster shutter time. We just noticed that the most. On top of that, it just draws out more details than its competitor. And when it comes to their flash, they're both pretty good in producing some very natural skin tones. Equally as compelling is their 1080p video recording quality. Again, really hard to tell which is going to be the better between two when it comes to outdoor shots where the sun is very present. But in lower lighting conditions, it's the iPhone 5S that reigns supreme just because it's just sharper overall. With the Note 3, it just has more noise in its shots, and in turn, it just softens its details. We're going to have to go with the iPhone 5S with call quality just because with the Note 3 at the loudest volume setting, its earpiece tends to have some crackling which kind of distorts the voices. With the iPhone 5S, it just seems very natural and distinctive. And on the other end line, voices tend to sound a little bit more robotic with the Note 3. And the iPhone 5S, again, our callers mentioned they have no issues whatsoever in making out our voice. Power users will especially be astounded by the battery life on the Note 3. It's just far superior, better than the iPhone 5S. Normal usage, we're able to get close to 2 days out of the Note 3 versus only a single day on the iPhone 5S. And when we're using it very heavily, we get through a solid 24 hours with a full charge with the Note 3 versus only 10 hours on the iPhone 5S. So naturally, we got to compare apples to apples, right? Well, the Note 3, when it launches here in the US, can sport a price point of $300 with a 2-year contract, and that's packing 32 gigabytes of storage. Meanwhile, we know the 32 gigabyte version of the iPhone 5S, also same price point, $300, right? Knowing all that, it just seems as though that the Note 3 is going to give you more bang for the buck when you look at its spec sheet, the larger and higher resolution display, the enhanced experience with the multitasking aspect, and even all the functionalities that come along with the S Pen. It just seems more equipped than what the iPhone 5S has to offer. And the performance side, it pretty much rivals the iPhone 5S in many categories. So if you are a productive type of person, or you love to be organized, or even a business professional, Galaxy Note 3 is obviously your device. On the other hand, though, some people just don't want to be bothered with all those features. They just want a simple phone that's easy to use, and with that, naturally it's going to be the iPhone 5S for you. It's just a well-rounded device, and of course with the iOS 7 experience, it's updated, it's refreshing, and it's just still a well-rounded performer. So if you guys want to learn more about either the Apple iPhone 5